WrestleMania season is over, and now I can get back to structuring my schedule a lot better than it was. Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Wiser, and I did not forget about helping you guys in the beginning stages of your journey of fragrance. In the last video, I talked about how I got introduced into fragrances and why it's such a big part of my life at this moment. And for anybody that's interested in starting your fragrance journey, this video is going to be a bit of an introduction on how we can break the seal of helping you get into the fragrance world. This video, I have 11 fragrances on my desk. All of them budget friendly, none of them over $55, and most of them hovering around the $15 to $25 range. I want to make this barrier of entrance as easy as possible for you, and we're not going to break the bank while doing it. Let me tell you this, smelling good instantly upgrades your vibe. How can I say that? Well, have you ever tried on any cologne and noticed just how much better you feel going into the world that day? I have friends that I've introduced into the cologne game, and since they started spraying on, it's like they just have a breath of fresh air. They always want to tell me about their experiences, compliments, or just how they feel going out into the field because of what that does to your smelling sensory. Your five senses dictates your mind and your mood. Look, there's nothing I could do for your eyes. There's nothing I could do for your ears, your sense of touch, or your sense of taste, unless I'm doing food reviews. But what I can help you with today is your sense of smell. How the world perceives you through their senses of smell, and also how you perceive yourself through your sense of smell. So by the next time we send you out into the world, your head's high, your confidence is up, and you know somebody is going to look at me a little bit differently today than they looked at me yesterday. Imagine having the perfect scent for any situation, whether it be work, date night, lounging, clubbing, running errands, just sitting around the house. I got you covered with fragrances here, again, for a really good budget price that's going to cover all 5 of those occasions. Did I count them? I'm not sure if they were 5. I hope there were 5. So first, I want to tell you briefly about a few things that you need to know when it comes to fragrances. I want to tell you about the note breakdowns. These are quite simple. There's your top notes, your middle notes, and your base notes. Your top notes is what you're going to smell when you spray them, and they come right off at the top. Those generally go away within, say, 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the quality of your fragrance. Usually when you smell that top note, it's usually really citrus heavy. Sometimes it could smell very lemony, or sometimes it could smell like cleaning spray. That happens usually when it's a very citrus dominated fragrance. Again, those top notes is what you smell immediately upon spraying. Now, let's say that you are at a Sephora or a Macy's or a Neiman Marcus and you're testing out fragrances. They give you a spray strip, you spray it on that strip, you smell it, you say, oh, okay, this is what it smells like. Not so fast. Fragrance isn't that simple. Typically, you can smell those fragrances in those stores, smell it on a spray strip, say, okay, I like or dislike this fragrance, not knowing the depths of which that fragrance goes. There's layers. That gets us to the mid note. The mid note is what you have blended between the base and the top, obviously, right? But that's a whole separate set of notes. Those notes typically are what we call the heart of the fragrance, and they kind of have a little bit of both. This is pretty simple stuff. So let's say you have something like this Club de Nuit Precious, or some other way I can't pronounce it. On the top notes, you're going to get a pineapple, like a bit of a bitter pineapple, very sweet pineapple, but you're also going to get lemon and bergamot, which is your citruses up top. And then we're going to get down to the middle. That's where you're going to have your woody nuances and your floral nuances, your lily of the valleys, your oak moss, and things like that. It kind of blends between those fruity notes and those woody floral notes. But then by the time we get down to the bottom, down to the brass tacks, to the base, this scent becomes something completely different than what it was when you first sprayed it. Again, when you first sprayed it, you got fruity fresh, right? Then slightly floral with a hint of woods, but the fruit was still there. By the time we get to the dry down, which we call a base, the thing that's going to carry this fragrance from, let's say, about the 40-minute to the hour mark on for the rest of the 8 hours that you're going to have it on for, you're going to get a bit of a warm, slightly warm, vanilla, musky accord. Now, there's ambroxan in this, and ambroxan usually makes something, at least to my nose, the way I describe it in my mind, kind of smells a little metallic, but it's a really, really dope note, and it makes your fragrances a whole lot stronger. That ambroxan is pretty much paramount throughout the entire thing. Kind of hard to hide ambroxan. If it's in your fragrance, you're gonna smell it. It's gonna smell good. Very modern, almost AI-like. The next thing you need to know about is when to wear your fragrances. The season, the time of day, the weather, whether it's warm, hot, cold, chilly. Each fragrance performs a little differently depending on the weather, depending on the season, depending on the time of day. It's not weird, right? Because each of those times of day and each of those times of year and each of those times of weather have different senses to how you feel. And fragrances adapt to how you feel. Or you're supposed to wear your fragrances based on how those things are, in order to get the best performance out of them. Let me direct your attention to what you're going to see on the screen. I want to tell you about the different concentrations of fragrances before we get into our fragrances that are not going to break your bank. Sorry if I'm taking too long, but I feel as though as a beginner, you guys need this information. So I want to talk about the quick different types of concentrations. You have your, let's start from the bottom and work our way up. You have your eau de fraiche, which is 1 to 3% oil. You have your eau de cologne, which is 2 to 5% oil. Now, what does the oil mean when it comes to your fragrance? Typically, but not always, typically the more oil your fragrance has, the more staying power it has. Fragrances are built based off of their concentration with oil and alcohol. Now, the more oil you have, the more fragrance you're gonna have. What's the other thing that's in there? It's your alcohol. What does alcohol smell like? We all know what alcohol smells like. So the least alcohol that's in your fragrance, the better your fragrance is going to perform because of the density and the richness of that oil. So eau de fraiche and eau de cologne, you almost never even see those, but you typically don't want those. Not always. That's not always the case, because I have one on my desk right here that is an eau de cologne that actually lasts. It smells pretty good. Is it a projection monster? It's not really a projection monster, but it works. We have eau de toilette, which is 8 to 15%. We have eau de parfum, which is 15 to 20%. Now we're getting into the meat and potatoes. We have the parfum, which is typically the extract version, or extract, somebody, and that's 20 to 40% oil-based cologne. Or perfume. Let's just say fragrance. It's easier that way. For example, if you were to spray something with 40% oil on your hand, on the back of your hand, you would see that oil on your hand when all the alcohol goes away. You'll still see a bit of oil there. And that oil is going to carry a whole lot of that fragrance. Now, real quick, let me talk to you about sampling. I know, we're supposed to talk about the fragrance. We'll get there, I promise. But let's talk about sampling. Sampling is extremely important, right? So sampling can help you understand notes. It can help you understand what works for you, what stands out to you. So let's say you go to those stores that I mentioned before, a Macy's, a Sephora, Neiman Marcus, and et cetera, et cetera. You can go to TJ Maxx and places like that, where you can actually test the fragrance on you. You can, spray it on your wrist, see how it smells, go throughout the day, and it's still pumping and doing what it does. That's great. Let's say you're at one of those other stores and they have test strips and they let you spray it on there. You get to know what the fragrance is that you are interested in. Let's say you go from here, you take some of the recommendations that I give you, you search them up on YouTube just to see what other people are saying about them, and then you're a bit undecided. You're interested, but you're undecided because you just don't know what that thing smells like to your senses, and you want to go out into the world and you want to go smell them. That's very important. You should do that because you're going to learn more about other things that are going to stand out to you. Now, here's a tip. This is going to work on the ladies. And for ladies, this is going to work on the ladies for you too. When you go to these places and you approach one of the people that work at the, let's say the sales, and you ask them, you say, hey, I like this fragrance. Can you tell me what the dominant note is in here? Because there's something in here that's kind of catching my senses, is kind of catching my sense of smell, and I just want to know what it is because it's blending well with my scent DNA, which we talked about in the previous video. It's blending well with my scent DNA, and I need to know what that dominant note is so that I can find more fragrances that tend to specialize in that note. Now, why did I say that that's a bit of a tip? Well, because you're going to learn a whole lot that way. 2, you're going to also learn that you shouldn't believe in them when they try to sell you something, because about 7 times out of 10, they're not all that well versed when it comes to fragrances. They barely know anything. But the other good part of the tip is it starts good conversation. People love talking about fragrances. Now, are those the only places you could get samples? Nah, there's tons of online websites and things like that in which you could get samples from. All right, I'll give you one. I'll give you 2. There's kingdomfragrances.com, and then there's also scentsplits.com. On Kingdom Fragrances, they have tons and tons of fragrances, and you could decide what you want to try out, or you can contact them and say, hey, could you build me a discovery set? They'll build you one. I think you can get about 5 of them for about $35 or something like that. Over on Scent Splits, I've never used Scent Splits, but I believe that they have like a monthly subscription fee in which they send you a decant size and, each month or however. I don't know how it works, but there's samples on there that you can try as well. Look, I don't have any sponsors or anything when it comes to these, especially with the fragrances that I'm going to talk to you guys about and that I'm going to recommend. I have none of that. I only have my nose and my recommendations. So without further ado, let's get into what I can recommend you for a beginner on a good budget with the prices and the situations. We're going to start with the Any Season, Any Reason fragrance. First up, you're going to need a cologne that's going to work for any situation. Whether it be rain, sleet, snow, hail, hot, cold, or sunshine, you're going to need to find your signature scent. This is going to be something that you could just grab and go. We call these dumb reaches. You can never go wrong with these. Typically, depending on what your sense of smell is, it could be fresh, clean, it could be fruity, it could be musky, it could be woody. Whatever it is that your nose gravitates to, that's going to be where your signature scent leads. I'm going to show you a very safe signature worthy scent. Club de Nuit Urban Man Elixir. This thing will run you $27. See the size of the bottle? See the size of that? See that? 27 bucks. This thing, this thing is a projection in sillage and compliment monster. This guy here starts out citrus, fresh, fruity. More so on the fresh side. You get hints of pineapple, even though pineapple is not in the notes. And it kind of stays linear throughout the entire way. Very ambroxan dominant, which again is a bit of that metallic note. You guys, I don't know how to describe ambroxan other than just saying that. That's just what I get when I think of ambroxan. But it stays fresh, it stays clean. It has that little hint of fruitiness, and it got the citrus up top from the bergamot. Now it's supposed to come down into this amber, woody, patchouli note kind of vibe. I don't typically get that, and you guys pretty much don't know what that is. Let's just say that it's fresh, clean, slightly fruity, and ambroxany, which is a bit of that metallic smell. It's a good, not off-putting smell. It just makes your stuff smell strong and project a whole lot longer than it should. By the way, I should have mentioned this before. Sillage, projection, longevity. What do they mean? Projection. If you are standing in one spot, people would typically say, what's the projection on your fragrance? Is it body? Is it arm? Or is it a 5-foot radius? Some people could get an 8-foot radius. It could be crazy. Like if somebody walks within 8 feet of you, they're going to smell you. Now, is that something you want? That depends on you. Typically with this Urban Elixir Man, you could probably get about 5 feet of projection on it. Sillage, that depends on how much you spray. Typically, since I think that this is a pretty strong fragrance, you don't want to spray, depending on the weather, when it's hot out, don't go over 4 sprays. Please don't go over 4 sprays, and learn your pulse points right here on your arm. You can hit yourself right here. That way you could get wafts of it if you're a hand talker. You want to hit both sides of your neck or behind your ear. You could give yourself one on the chest. That could be for you. So let's say I say no more than 4 when it's hot out. This one's for you. We're not going to count that one. You can hit your neck. You can hit your pulse points. And all right, I lied. Let's do 6. Nah, let's not do 6. That's too much. Because I was going to say hit your chest. In the wintertime, go crazy. Go ballistic. You could do 6 to 7 with that. In the hot, no. 4 is good enough. And you're going to be good for about 6 to 8 hours. If you want to reapply, you can do 2 more. About at that 6-hour mark, you can reapply with 2 more sprays. But the thing that makes this versatile is you can wear it for anything. You could wear it for your daytimes. You could wear it to work. You could wear it on a date. Is it going to be warm and cozy? No, but we got stuff for that as well. However, you can wear this for anything. And that makes it the any season, any reason fragrance. Any time of the year, any time of the day, any reason you can think of, you can wear that fragrance and win with it. Let me give you a couple more fragrances that could be any season, any reason. Let's go with Desert Santal. You're not going to see any reviews or anything on this. Desert Santal, I got this at Marshall's for $13. $13. This is the Eau de Cologne that I was talking about, that I said it doesn't project crazy, but your longevity, you know what that means. Sillage, I'm so off track. I meant to tell you what sillage means. Sillage just means your scent trail. Let's say you're walking through a supermarket and you've walked and you go from one aisle to the next aisle to the next aisle. You haven't if you're a beginner, but sometimes somebody may come up to you and say, hey, I knew you was here because I could smell the trail you left behind in the aisle before. Now, it's not a nauseating thing. It doesn't mean that you're overpowering anything. It's a scent trail, and scent trails are perfectly fine. Projection is perfectly fine. Longevity, we already understand longevity, but where you go overboard is if you sprayed too much and it's just a cloud of scent that somebody walks into. If it's just a scent trail, like think of Pepe Le Pew, but the good version, in which, it just kind of, are y'all old enough to know about Looney Tunes? Anyway, it kind of just brings you along the ride. Like that person wants to continue to smell you. They want to try to find that smell because it's just lingering, but it's not choking anybody out, and it's a pleasant smell. Not much sillage on this guy here. The projection, I want to say, is about 3 feet. It's pretty close. And $13 from Marshall's. TJ Maxx, Dillard's, you can find it at any rag store. What made me pick this up? For one, I love Santal 33. I don't have a bottle of Santal 33 from Le Labo, but I will be getting one. However, I do know how it smells, and I do know the reactions I've received when I've worn it. And this one, you can kind of date night with this. It's like a smooth sandalwood type of vibe in vetiver. I like vetiver. Vetiver is almost, think of like a hay scent. When it comes to vetiver, it's like a dry, like stringy sort of, if you could think of a haystack, it's kind of like that, but it's like a sandally type of vibe to it. Very earthy, very green, and it smells, I would say about 80 to 85% close to Santal 33 for $13. That Santal 33 probably run you about $250, I forget, from Le Labo. So when I'm just in TJ Maxx, or where was I? Marshall's, and I'm over in the cologne section, I'm just picking up stuff and smelling it. When I smelled this, I said I have to have it. It says eau de cologne. I'm like, that's not gonna smell like anything. I got it home, I wore it, and I'm like, oh shit, look at the dent. Look at the dent. There's a dent right there. Look at the dent. I wear it. I wear this. $13. Very woody, in sandalwood, vetiver, earthy green, but it's attractive. Very, very attractive and very subtle. The other any season, any reason I have, we're gonna go right here to the Precious. I've already explained it to you on how it works. You have your fresh fruity up top, and then by the time it gets down to the bottom, and I have it right here, and I sprayed this at about 12 o'clock. It's now 7, and it still has that ambroxan, but it's a very smooth vanilla scent. This is 7 hours later. Is it pumping out? No. At this point, it's pretty much a skin scent. But if I was around somebody and I just did this and I'm about 3 feet away from them, they'll probably smell it. So yeah, again, any season, any reason, pick your situation, you can wear that. Next, let's talk about office-friendly daytime scents. You're gonna need something that's clean, it's gonna be light, not too sweet, not too heavy, it's not gonna punch anybody in the face, and it's not gonna be offensive. It's just going to be clean, but still have people wondering, man, do you always have to smell good? I get that with Terry Hermes. this isn't in that $55 price point. By the way, if I didn't mention the price of this right here can run you, ooh, I got a crack in my bottle. That's not good. This right here could run you 50 bucks. Again, we talked about this, $27, $13. Not saying buy all of this. I'm just giving you some ideas of things and what their prices are. You can make your own fragrance wardrobe for beginners based off of it, or you can chat with me in the comment section or on Twitter or wherever, and we can talk about it. So, what are my daytime fragrances? Office. I'm going to start you with Club de Nuit Sillage from Armaf. As you guessed, all of the Club de Nuits are going to be from Armaf. No Armaf sponsorship. I just love their fragrances. So what makes this clean, office safe, and light? Listen, don't go heavy on the sprays. If you go heavy on the sprays, you might choke somebody out because, again, just like the rest of the Club de Nuits, this has ambroxan. And that ambroxan can really make your stuff project. However, on this one, we are going to start with, I love the ambroxan in this one. Citrus, very citrus up top. You get a bergamot. Bergamot is sort of like a lemon. Think of Earl Tea, and that's what bergamot is. It's that type of lemon. But you have bergamot up top with lime, which is actually pretty dope, pretty good. That ambroxan is going to be all the way through this fragrance. It also has black currant in it, which is like bitter fruits. Let's use tart and tangy. That's the better way to use it. I'm going to use tart and tangy when it comes to black currant. And that's what that does to the fruits that are in this. This smells absolutely gorgeous. After that, we get a bit of a violet leaf. There's violet also in that top note, that first initial spray, you're going to get a bit of a violet leaf in it. Just think purple when you think of violet leaf. Unless you know what violets smell like, you give your girl violets for whatever the occasion is, that's good. There's supposed to be a little ginger in here, which is very, very minimal from my nose. But then we get down to the middle, and that's where you get your flowers, your florals. Don't think feminine when you think florals. There's ways to blend it into a man's skin as well. So you're going to get your rose, your iris, your jasmine, but I mainly get iris in this. And iris, for men, don't sleep on iris. Iris is a beautiful note when it comes to fragrances. You usually get it alongside of roses, ambers, and other woods. You get that iris to kind of balance things out, make it a little bit powdery. It's a touch. Makes it really good. And then by the time we get to that base note, it's still carried by ambroxan all the way through. For me, it becomes a bit of a musky scent, and musky is not bad. It's hard to explain musk, and I'm not going to try to, but Google it, I guess. Musk note and fragrance. Do that. There's supposed to be some sandalwood in there. Yeah, I know me. I love sandalwood. I don't really get any sandalwood from it. And also some cedar wood. I don't get woods in this at all. I get that violet, that ambroxan, I get that citrus up top, and I get that iris. Beautiful scent. Beautiful scent. So, for such a beauty, how much is this gonna set you back? 26 bucks. The barrier to entry when it comes to fragrance is not high. Trust me. When you're just starting out, there are a ton of beginner-friendly fragrances, and that's what I'm giving them to you right here. We're not gonna break the bank. All right, let me give you another example. We're gonna go right back to this Club de Nuit Urban Man Elixir. Already explained it earlier for your signature scent. Same situation, 26 bucks, $27. And I'm going to give you a cheapie. I saw this recommended in a video where Equality Fragrance, he said this would be the best $15 that you would ever spend in fragrance. He ain't lie. This thing gets sold out so much. It's hard to like find these all the time. But anytime I see them, I always try to grab a new bottle because it's 15 bucks. Well, now it's $18, but it's still super cheap. Very inoffensive. Let me tell you the way I look. You see this on here? You see it? Looks a bit like a cloud. Looks like a cloud. That's what it smells like. This is Frank Olivier. I think I got that right. Frank Olivier Eau de Passion. $18. What does it smell like? I could tell you this one. This one's easy for me. Now, some people say that they get spicy and woody in this. I don't really get that at all. Okay, here's what this smells like. On the initial spray, you're going to get that big burst of citrus, and it's going to smell very lemony cleanery. That's going to go away after 2 minutes. And from there, it's going to turn into something that you couldn't imagine from the initial spray. because it's going to turn into like a fresh linen floating in the clouds. It's clean, it's aromatic. Like, you're just, if you ever want to know what heaven smells like, this is heaven in a bottle. Some of this stuff is blind buy worthy. This is blind buy worthy. It's $18. It'll be a bigger bottle than this. I thought I was ordering a bigger bottle, but they finessed me. This is the smaller bottle, but $18, bro. Fragrancebuy.ca, 18 bucks. Go to fragrancebuy.ca for all of this. Get these prices. Again, not sponsored by anything. That's just one of the discounters that I go to. So yeah, those are the examples, the 3 examples of daytime office sprays that you can wear. Inoffensive. They're gonna smell good. They're gonna stand out. But I know what you're really here for. Date night, cuddle buddy, Netflix, and children. Wait, all right. For a budget, on a budget price. On the budget price, we're staying on a budget price. Now, once we start getting into like different price ranges and things like that, we can work with stuff. But we're keeping this under 55 bucks. And the reason why I'm going under 55 bucks is because I have 2 on here that are $54. So we got 2 that's $54, and then everything else is under $30. So yeah, it's date night. It's time to get warm, cozy, and smooth, because you know, this is where the magic happens. You're gonna need something that's going to want to make her lean in. Let's say that you skip the date part and you just already at the crib. This is a small bottle, but I have something here. By the Fireplace Replica by Maison Margiela. When I first saw this bottle, I was like, is that like a real fragrance? It says replica and like it looks like that. This is how Maison Margiela designs their bottles. By the Fireplace is a smooth, vanilla-y, smoky. It definitely gets them to want to cuddle up with you type of vibe. Because what does it smell like? It smells exactly like the name says. Maison Margiela, in their replica line, they make fragrances that replicate what the title is. So By the Fireplace smells exactly like that. You're by the fireplace, you got some sort of cashmere blanket on you and your lady. There's a fireplace bumping right there. You know, you got some chestnuts roasting. You know, just whatever your imagination goes through when you think of a fireplace or a campfire. Minus the marshmallow. That's what this smells like. I like the smoky nuance to it. A bit of a, hold up. Oh, wow. Yeah. Man, that's so good. So off top, I get amber, which is that it's going to give that warm texture to it. I get vanilla and I get woody on this. As it's drying down, that amber becomes really, really smoky. Think of like burning amber pieces, those small little orange things, like you sit them in some fire and you pull it out. It looks kind of like you're making iron, right? And you put it in the fire, and that orange color that comes out and the ambers that come off of it, that's what that is. And it's, oh man, it's really smoky, really chestnut. All right, we're not here to do that. I'm sorry. That's what that does. It's a really cozy, I'm by the fireplace vibe. I'm sorry, I went on too long. Once I start talking fragrances, I could just talk about them. That's kind of me in fragrances. Another one that can be warm and inviting, again, we have the Desert Santal, which I've already talked to you about. This replica, I want you to get let's get the middle-sized bottle. The middle-sized bottle of this is like the 10-ounce bottle. The 30 ml is gonna cost you $54, and I believe that the full bottle, I think that they started dropping prices on those, but retail is about $126 from Sephora. I'm also going to recommend Lattafa's Camera and Lattafa's Camera Kawa. And with Lattafa's Camera, I want you to think of a warm apple pie. A little boozy, a little bit of rum on the side. It makes it all together. That's what you have there. With Camera, I want you to take away the apple, add coffee, a little bit of coffee note, and caramel. And I just want you to blend that coffee and caramel together along with just that warm amber, almost a touch of honey and cinnamon, and just blend it all together. It kind of has a bit of a sandalwood vibe to it because it's really, really smooth and mellow. It's very strong. I wouldn't recommend going heavy on that. And that's going to get that done as well for date nights out and in. Both of those, out and in. And I want to give you one more recommendation. That's going to be Dolce & Gabbana, the one EDP or Eau de Parfum. And that one's going to be very warm, ambery, tobacco, smoky. And when you think of tobacco, I don't want you to think of like a cigar or what you're gonna find in a Black and Mild or something like that. It's more of like the tobacco leaf, the natural tobacco leaf, but smoky, coming from the amber with that. The cardamom is going to soothe it out with a little bit of ginger in there. It's really, really aromatic to a woman's sense of smell. For you, you're just gonna feel like I smell dope. You can't tell me nothing. Lay on my chest. And when you wear these fragrances, your date night fragrances, definitely hit your chest up. Hit your neck, hit your chest, hit behind your ears. You can skip your arms, hit your hands. You hit those places. Why? Because that's where you bring them in close. You lay them on your head. You wrap your arm around them, and you got that hand right there. It's going to be close to the face. Everything you want to do is going to be close proximity. They got to get up on you to smell that. And those are going to be your date nights and your nights out. All right, let me try to get through this quickly. We're going to do clubbing and lounges. What's the difference with clubbing and lounges? Clubbing is everybody in there throwing it up, dancing. Hey, 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 you know, fun and all of that, really loud. Lounges, still got your people there. It's more laid back, a lot more social. You could actually hear people when you talk to them. It is still close, it is still intimate, but a lot more mature when you do the lounge vibe. So those are the differences. I wanted to set that as I tell you what you can wear. So typically people could say, you know, your club banger, your club goers, your Versace Eros. I don't think that that's under $55. I could be wrong, but it's also like, come on, how young are we going? If you're young, let's say that you are in your teenage years, up until about 23, you could do your Versace Eros. Go for it. Knock yourself out. It's not going to be bad. It's just not going to be mature. So we're going to go right back to the Precious for your club, because this can be loud. This is sweet. It's also fresh. So when they get up on you, like, oh man, you smell so good. You smell so good. And then they smell, oh man, you smell so clean too. They're not going to know what to do with themselves. And by the time we get to the base of this thing, it's going to turn into its vanilla ambery scent, but it's still going to have that unbroxing pumping. So let's say you got her in the club, right? You got her in the club. You got her attention with this because of the fruity, fresh part of this that comes through. By the time you get her outside of the club, she's going to smell a different nuance, that smooth vanilla ambery part of this, because it's going to transition from the loud, fruity, fresh to the subtle, relaxed, calm, vanilla amber. And it's going to be a different vibe. And it's going to be the vibe that you wanted. Like, all right, we out of the club. We done throwing it up. Now let's bring it in. And that's what that does for you. At the lounge, though, we're going to go right back to Maison Margiela Replica Jazz Club. When I first smelled Jazz Club, I wasn't sold at first because I could barely smell it. So my boy was like, look, I need you to try this Jazz Club. Just put it on. He sprayed it on me. Bang, 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 bang. Jazz Club, you got to go heavy on the sprays in order for it to pump. I also have like a little bit of an honorable mention that I want to mention with this, and we'll make a different video about it. But let's get back to Jazz Club. So Jazz Club smells, again, exactly like what you think a Jazz Club would smell like. You have a bit of a smoky vibe. You have your rum in there, your cognac vibe in there. You have your sweetness, your rum, your tobacco, a bit of a vanilla vibe to it, but definitely smoky from that tobacco leaf. A little bit of a cognac sense. It just smells like you in there, you in the bar, you know, you throwing them back. There's a, you know, they might be playing a sax over there. It's just real lounge feel. It just feels like a jazz setting. That's what you're gonna get. You're going to get the little bit of smokiness from that tobacco leaf. You're going to get the nuances of the cognac, of the rum. You're gonna get that. You're gonna get the sweetness of that vanilla on the dry down. Jazz Club is a vibe. It's a vibe. It doesn't project. Projection's like 3 feet at the most. 3 feet at the most. The sillage on it is actually a pretty decent sillage. It leaves you a scent trail of maybe about 5 feet. Maybe about 5 feet on a scent trail. It's going to cost you about $54, but it's going to linger. And especially like when you have somebody close within you, they're just going to want it. It's intoxicating for them. Very, very intoxicating for you. The other one I'm going to go with is going to be the Lattafa Camera. Not the Kawa, but just the regular Lattafa Camera. Again, that warm apple pie with a splash of rum. Can't go wrong with that. In the lounge. I don't have what we would call cheapy club fragrances outside of what I just recommended, but the lounges, maybe because that's where I be, is where we could really do some damage. And last but not least, we're going to go with Just Because. Every day doesn't need to be a big event. Sometimes you just want to smell good for yourself, whether it's going out running errands or going to the gym or just hanging around in the house, or maybe you might have company and you're just chilling. You don't want to do nothing. You just want to smell fresh, clean, relaxed, like you in a t-shirt and sweatpants. We're going to go right back to this Frank Olivier, Eau de Passion. I've described it to you. It's like aromatic. You're sitting on a cloud, you're in the sky, and you're wearing fresh linen. Fresh laundry. And that's what you have there with that Eau de Passion. Another one that I could give you for Just Because is this John. I'm real tacky for not having the top anymore. I don't know where it is. Had it for a long time, but John Varvatos Artisan Pure. I want you to think white t-shirt, citrus, slightly woody. Here's the deal on this one. People say that it's not long lasting. I don't know about that. I could kind of disagree. This thing is a projection monster upon first spray. It quickly calms down, but at first the projection on this thing is about 5 to 8 feet. The sillage on this thing, or somebody's gonna have your scent trail from a different part of the store. There was this one girl that I used to vibe with a little bit. Let's say that I'm in the supermarket. She pulls up in the supermarket. She was like, I knew you was in here. How you know I was in here? She's like, I just know that smell. I'm like, how long ago did you smell it? She was like, the distance on this from where I was versus where she first picked it up, let's call it 3 aisles away. And again, it's not like unpleasant or choking you out sort of sillage. It's just, man, I smell him. It's hints, it's wafts. It's the easiest way I could explain scent trail. But yeah, t-shirt, sweats, anytime you just chilling, clean, citrus. It's gonna smell like freaking lemon cleaner in the beginning. Calms down, it's very screechy up top, but it calms down into a very, very citrus, slightly woody scent on the bottom. This will run you about $30. $30. Did I touch on everything here? Oh, I wanted to mention, let's slide back to the let's go back to the clubbing. I would mix I have a cover to this. There we go. Let's stop being tacky. Rave Now is a pineapple dominant fragrance. It's mainly like fresh pineapple. So let's say you're wearing this, right? And you want that fruitiness to pop out. You can layer it either way you want, depending on how you want this thing to calm down to. I would spray this on first and then spray this on top. Your pineapple is going to bring out the fruitiness of this. It's going to make it last longer. It's going to project even further. You don't really care about the sillage on that when you're in a club because there's just so many people around. Good luck trying to pinpoint who it is. But once they get up on you, they're going to smell that fruity, fresh pineapple, that freshly cut pineapple. And it's just such an attractive thing. That is what I call a layering fragrance. It's mainly the pineapple note. There are a couple other notes in it, but you don't notice them. You mainly notice pineapple from the beginning to the end. I also have this, who's this by? Oh, another Lattafa. Lattafa Ragba Wood Intense, and this is a EDP Eau de Parfum. I think this run you like $16. It's exactly what it smells like, or exactly what it sounds like. Wood Intense, very woody, very smoky, very amber. Oh, that smells good. And a bit of a oud sense to a little bit on the skanky side, but very, very woody. If you ever want to layer something and just make it more masculine, make it want to smell a little more woody, you could do your Lattafa Ragba Wood Intense. I'll talk about layering in its own video. This video has gone on very long, but I do want to give us a bit of a closing. How to wear your cologne properly. Again, I told you about your pulse points and where to spray. And also gave you tips on how many times you can spray these colognes. But let me tell you this. When you spray something on, please don't do this. Don't do this. Don't rub it in. Don't rub it in. You could pat it. You could blot it. What Denzel say? You don't rub it. That's alpaca. You block that shit. You block it.
Don't rub on that. You block that. You understand? That's alpaca. That's $25,000 alpaca. You block that shit.
That's the best you can do. But you don't even want to do that. People say that it kills the molecules in the fragrance. I'll make this simpler for you. You have your top, your base, and you have your middle in between. Your top, your middle, and your base. If you do this, you're getting rid of your top. You might be getting rid of your middle. You're not letting it naturally progress from the notes down to the way that they're supposed to come down that tree. And in that sense, you're going to kind of wipe away some of the mileage that your fragrance is going to get. That's why you don't rub it. At best, you can blot it. Spray, blot, blot. That's it. That's if you don't want to go heavy. Spray, blot. Don't rub it in. It's alpaca. Don't do that. So to summarize, I gave you something for work. I gave you something for dates. I gave you something to just wear out and about just because. So you can pick based off of your own circumstances. What do you think would give you the most mileage based off of your own current lifestyle and to begin your fragrance journey? That depends on you. I gave some recommendations. If I could start you out with, let's say, 2 of the recommendations that I gave you, I would go with Club de Nuit Precious, and I would go with the Lattafa Camera. Not the Kawa, but the Lattafa Camera, because that's going to cover your anytime, any day, any season, any reason with your Club de Nuit. And if you want to have your nighttime fun, you have your Lattafa Camera. You can't go wrong just starting with those 2, and that will run you about 75-ish bucks. You could probably get it for less than that. If you catch it on the right day, you could get it for a little less. Let's say you wanted to drop down a little bit more. You wanted to split this thing into 2 or 3. You wanted to get 3 on the bang for your buck. I would still go with the Camera. I would get you the Sillage. I ain't gonna lie to you. You got to get this. You got to get this. Just for yourself. Get it for yourself. But the other way I was going to go, 27 bucks with the Urban Elixir Man or Urban Man Elixir. I was going to go that way. So boom, that's 2 or 3 that you can start out with immediately just to get the senses flowing, just to get them flowing. So, all right, we've come to the end of this thing. Hopefully I provided some value, some entertainment, and some recommendations that you can possibly pick up. That took a lot out of me. I'm sorry. But we must conclude this video so that I can start a new one, and we're going to continue this journey. Thank you for joining me. That's all I got.